to first place. Under lights the engines scream, this is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might, push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight, racing on with all our might. Trucks flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining life so bright. Rev it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in grace. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Thrill the place, thrill the place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high-octane haste, feel the thrill, feel the chase. Victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high-octane haste, in this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights the engines scream, this is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might, push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight, racing on with all our might.
Woo! Oh! Let's go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome in as we get ready to rumble here in Texas, as it is time to shine. It is time for drivers to try and put themselves up and into victory lane as we get ready to set these drivers loose. We get ready to go to battle here today, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be some absolutely amazing racing action here this evening. This is going to be a lot of fun, chat. This is going to be a ton of fun, man. This is going to be a blast here today, as each and every one of these drivers can be looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening. We'll have to wait and see who can get it done as we start our final 3 races of the season. And oh, brother, it's going to be a showdown as we get 5 drivers duking it out here for the championship. 5 drivers getting ready to battle, getting ready to duke it out here for our championship here this year. And that's going to make for some very exciting racing here late in the season, as Nick Snyder, Nick Gardner, Jacob Grube, Zach Michael, and Alexander Pelican all going to battle here this season for our Season 7 championship here, as it is the always amazing. It is the Dirt Track Junkies 137 here, or 200 today. I can't remember what it's called. I'm trying to get that logo on the screen here. Give me 2 seconds so that way we can have our thing on there. But nonetheless, we're going to get ready to rock and roll. We're going to get ready to set these drivers loose and go green flag racing here in just a couple more moments, as it is Nick Gardner, one of our championship competitors, starting here in that pole position. To his outside, it's another championship driver. It is Zach Michael starting there in position number 2. Starting in position number 3 in the number 1 ride, that is Brad Lane. To his outside, another championship competitor, that is Mr. Alex Pelican there in 4th. Starting in the 5th spot, Jacob Grube, another championship driver, getting ready to battle here today. He will start back in that 5th position with Tim Blankenbeckler to his outside. And then we see Joshua Ledoux, the Dirt Track Junkies, ride back there. We do see Ed Koshersberger there, as well as Nathaniel Ostrowiecki, Brandon Ming, Chris Gilbert back 11th, Rob McDonald there in 12th. We see Nicholas Snyder all the way back here in position number 13. And then we see Rob McDonald trench out there, Ryan Peterson, Brett Summers, William Klein, Mr. Neil Lapidus, Kyle Van Tassel, Kevin Winker bringing up the rear of the field as here we go, ending all the anticipation with our feature presentation as it is the Texas Takeover 200 here this evening, sponsored by the Dirt Track Junkies. As we are quickly seeing that green flag fly, each and every one of these drivers on their loud pedal looking to try to run out in front, try to hunt down Nick Gardner as Brad Lane quickly slides into second. Looks like that inside lane really getting the best restart there, getting the best start as unfortunately, Zach Michael already back a couple spots. Pelican down a spot there as well in that 16 machine as they round out our top 5. But out in front, leading lap number 1 here this evening, it is Nick Gardner. So Gardner leading lap number 1 here this evening of our first race in our first race of the round of, I guess this is the 3rd round, but it is the first race of 3 here for this championship this year. So 3 races, 3 opportunities for our championship 5 to duke it out, to go to battle, to try to get points, earn points, and try to set themselves up here for this championship. So it's not a one and done. It is not another elimination race coming up. It is all about putting yourself into the best finishing position each and every single week, trying to earn as many points as possible and trying to put yourself into a position to win this championship. It's John J.G.R. Gannis coming in with that like of the stream. Kevin Winker, K-Dub also coming in with that heart reaction. Dimitri Curtis, how are you, Dimitri? Dimitri says, let's go, and coming in with that heart reaction on the stream as K-Dub Kevin Winker says, let's go. Final 3 races of season 7 and we will crown another champion. Who will it be? He says, who will it be indeed? Right now it's looking a lot like this is Nick Gardner's race, qualifying in that pole position, leading the first 4 laps of this race as they head down across the line. Brad Lane though right there with them. Zach Michael laying down a fast lap time last time around, the only driver so far in this race to run a lap inside the sub 30-second area. So that's a blazing fast lap time there for Zach Michael. He was able to get around Jacob Grube, and now Grube battling back to his inside. Michael still rolling the outside groove here, that second lane, as all these drivers try to navigate their way to the front, as we do see Brett Summers right in front of them. Summers unfortunately having to make a pass-through penalty there on lap number 3. He's just trying to keep himself on the lead lap. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, but luckily enough, if we see a caution flag, he could earn himself a wave around and get himself back on the lead lap. But right now, it's all Nick Gardner here. Gardner at the front of the field, and look at Tim Blankenbeckler. Tim doing a great job back here in position number 6, holding strong out there on the racetrack. And then you see that always amazing Dirt Track Junkies number 38 ride right there as well. That is Joshua Ledoux looking pretty out there on the speedway as the Dirt Track Junkies Lone Star ride rolling out there on the speedway, looking to try to pick up a big win. No better fitting win for that 38 ride than right here today in Texas with the Dirt Track Junkies sponsoring not only that 38 truck, but this race is going to be absolutely amazing if we can see him slide up into victory lane. Nathaniel Ostrowiecki right there in the 8th position with Nicholas Snyder already have 4 spots on the racetrack as that Snyder Bees racing ride trying to navigate his way up and through the traffic here. Started back in that 13th position. Definitely not the qualifying run I think Nicholas was hoping for out there on the racetrack. And for that 5 ride, he's able to slide up into the 9th position. So now inside the top 10, but he's really been struggling trying to figure out a way to get around this 14 ride on Nathaniel Ostrowiecki, and he's going to be battling here with a lot of drivers, still a lot of cats in front of him to try to navigate his way towards the front of the field, and that's exactly where one of his counterparts and a couple of his counterparts are up here battling. Nick Gardner there in the top spot, Zach Michael in 3rd, Jacob Grube and Alex Pelican rounding out our top 5 on the racetrack. Everyone inside the top 5 except for the one of Brad Lane is a part of our championship here this year. They are 4 of the 5 drivers that are battling battling here for this championship here this year. The one driver outside the top 5 on the outside looking in, currently in the worst position out of our championship 5. It's Nicholas Snyder, still stuck back here in that 9th position. As Nick Gardner, though, out in front, as we did see one driver go for a bit of a slide here. It's Ryan Peterson. Peterson down through the grass, luckily enough, able to catch that car, keep it rolling here. But let's take a look back and see what happens to the Ridge Power Sports KR Gunners 469 ride as he bounces it off the wall down into the infield grass. He's going for a hop, skip, and a jump there. Luckily enough, able to keep that truck rolling. Almost loses it there as the dirty tires come back onto the racetrack right there. Luckily enough, catches it, keeps that truck pointed in the right direction, and keeps on battling. Now we do see one other driver now headed down pit side. It's Nathaniel Ostrowiecki. Looks like Ostrowiecki has gotten a piece of the outside fence potentially. Looks like some pretty heavy right front damage there for the 14 ride. He is now down pit side in the KTM ready to race ride. Down pit road here, not a spot that he wants to be early in this race, as this is an unscheduled pit stop only after 10 laps of racing action. But he'll hit pit lane, get this truck repaired, try to get that truck back in on the racetrack. Right now, he will fall at least a lap down. He does not want to fall back any farther and potentially risk falling even farther out of the battle here this evening. And so far, some great racing, as Dimitri says, let's go over on YouTube as well. Tower Operator says, hashtag Winker Nation, as Jason LePan says, let's go Groob. Get it, girl. Get it, girl, he says. Oh, baby, I love it. As Tubbs, what's good, Tubbs? Tubbs says, yo, yo, yo. Sponsor in the house. Laugh out loud, he says, what is good, Tubbs? How are you, brother? How you doing today? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful Tuesday. Here is our amazing sponsor in the chat, cheering these guys on, watching not only these amazing competitors, some of these playoff performers in our championship 5 battling out there, but some of his own drivers out there as well. As we did see, unfortunately, looks like Joshua Ledoux sliding back a little bit here. 38 Ryan looks like he's gotten up, scrubbed the outside fence, so Ledoux has slid back now into the 13th position. William Klein right there with them in position number 14. We'll have to wait and see if those dirt track junkie Ryans can navigate themselves a little closer to the front of the field, and still have to keep on battling, keep on digging out there on the racetrack. Is out in front, continuing to lead the way. It is Nick Gardner. Gardner multiple times here in this truck series, and even in some of the other series that we've seen him out there, he's talked about how special Texas is to him. He loves coming here, loves running this race. We've seen him pick up some pretty big wins here in Texas in the past, so he's going to be a threat. He's going to be a driver that these guys are going to have to try to battle with all night long if they want to put themselves into victory lane. And as one of our playoff competitors, one of our championship drivers out there on the racetrack, this is exactly the place you want to be here when it comes to our first playoff race for our championship 5, as he has the race lead now out to about a 6/10 of a second lead here, so about 6 truck lengths or so between himself and Brad Lane. Lane holds on to second with Jacob Groob there in third. The 34, that is Alex Pelican, that is the 34 of Zach Michael there in position number 4. Alex Pelican back there in that 5th position, and now we do see Nicholas Snyder. Snyder has worked himself around Tim Blankenbeckler, around a few of these other drivers, and now finds himself into that 6th position. So our top 5 for the championship, our 5 championship competitors here this season, all now within the top 6 on the racetrack. They are in 6 or better out there on the racetrack. The only driver that is inside our top 6 that is not a part of the championship 5 is that one ride of Brad Lane. And Brad Lane right now, man, he's holding on to second here, and as he continues to hold on to the 2nd position and hold some of these guys back there at bay, it's allowing Nick Gardner to continue to open up more and more of a race lead, and that's exactly what Nick Gardner wants to see. Wants to see this race lead continue to grow, especially with no stage breaks, no opportunities for potential caution flags. Now, we may have a yellow flag. We never know when they may fly, but if we can see this stay clean and green, he can have good trips down pit road, continue to open up this race lead more and more, could really help him out here in starting off this 3-race showdown for the championship here on the right foot. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out for him. His group holds on to third. Zach Michael there in fourth. Pelican now trying to close the gap on him, but does get a good piece of the outside fence right there. Going to be very conscious of that. Do not want to tag that fence too many times, as it may jump up and bite you and end your night in a quick hurry. And for one of our championship drivers, one bad race, one wrong run, one bad move out there on the speedway that puts you down pit side during green flag action, puts you 2-3 laps down, potentially taking you out of this race, could potentially also take you out of the championship contention here this year. So you got to be virtually picture perfect here all 3 races if you want to be crowned our champion here at the HTK Beagles here in season number 7. Here at the HTK Beagles. Absolutely insane. 7 seasons already about to come into the history books. 6 seasons down. We're closing out our 7th season. Season 8 just around the corner. I know for a lot of these drivers, they'll be getting ready. They'll be hyped up. They're already logging in and signing themselves up here for this championship, or for the Season 8 championship battle, as they're already sliding in here, trying to make a name for themselves, making sure that they can trying to put themselves into a good position to potentially try and win this championship, and then obviously wanting to go and back it up and try to win Season 8 championship as well. And for all the other competitors we've already had, I don't even know how many sign up here for that championship. There's our Texas Takeover 200, sponsored by the Dirt Track Junkies. The logo there on the screen, I want to make sure we got that on there. Huge shout out there to, again, Dirt Track Junkies for coming on board, being a part of the program here at the HTK Beagles, and sponsoring this race and having some amazing cars out there on the racetrack as well to battle each and every single night of the week. As Yusuf says, let's go Snyder, cheering on Snyder out there on the racetrack, as Dub says, yeah, there it is, he says, there it is, yes, Sirski, yes, there we go, man. These guys continue to duke it out. This is going to be interesting. I'm not 100% sure. I want to say it's going to be probably a 35-40 lap run for fuel. So this is really going to make drivers have to, one, either try to stretch out fuel, or they're going to have to game plan for what they want to do later in this race when it comes to tires, when it comes to fuel, and everything else that they may need, as I do believe they only have 3 sets of tires back behind pit wall. Let me double check that, because I do believe that's what we got here this evening. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Where in the world is that? Does not say. All right. That does not give me much information on it, but we'll have to keep an eye on it, though. Tires going to be a big game plan. Fuel going to be even bigger out there on the racetrack, especially if this stays clean and green. If we don't see very many caution flags here this evening, that's going to really spice things up, as drivers never know when that caution flag will fly. You can try to save a set of tires for later in this race to make sure you got that extra bit of gear and that extra little bit of grip later on in the evening, as already we've seen the tire fall off about a second and a half, maybe even a little bit more than a second and a half of tire fall off here, and we're not even 25 laps into our race. As Tom says, check your Discord. I got something to send you. Ooh, okay. I got you, baby. Shoot that over. I'll definitely check it out. I'll definitely check that out. As here we go, continue to battle. It is still the same order here at the front of the field. These guys are just putting on a hell of a show for us. But back there a little deeper, we see that 77 rider Brandon Meng now working his way up into 7th. Chris Gilbert there in 8th. And Koschersberger into 9th now, as Tim Blankenbackler unfortunately falling 4 spots back here. The Frets for Pence, the juke joint ride, now back into that 10th position. Is Rob McDonald. There's Rob out there on the racetrack. Let's get a good look here at Rob out there on the speedways. The Frets for Pence ride, ready to rock and roll, ready to battle here this evening. So far, having himself a very good run up inside the top 11 right now, just outside the top 10 here, but has a couple of those beautiful juke joint rides. The Frets for Pence machines just there in 10th and 11th. Another one back fighting for position number 12 right now. That is Neil Lapidus and Ledoux, the Dirt Track Junkies. Number 38 ride working his way back up and around here. And stuff says, there you go. Put that one up. Oh, we got you. As Lisa McDonald says, let's go Trench. Cheer it on Trench out there on the racetrack. Yeah, Trench doing a fantastic job. Let me open up Discord real quick. It's going to get a little laggy there. All right, we like that. Let me get that in there. I do like that. Someone would have sent that to me earlier. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, that's gonna be way too big. We gotta make that smaller. There you go. Hopefully that looks good. There we go. That looks very, very pretty there on the broadcast now. Hopefully I get that lined up right. Yep, looks good. Looks great there on the stream. Looks great on the stream here. See if we can maybe make it a little bit less on the border. Like that. There we go. All right, there we go. Woo! Tubb says, I thought they had it. Oh, I guess not. The only one I saw there was that one that I had on beforehand that I'm assuming Gregory made up. But other than that, I did not know. But nonetheless, we appreciate it. We appreciate the awesome look there and obviously making that look very, very pretty. If you want, brother, make me a cool thumbnail as well. Get one of your race trucks. Get a cool photo of it on the Speedway or something and put the logo on there or whatever else, some other graphics, and we'll replace the thumbnail for the race as well for it. So that way it can drive in more traffic too, potentially. As out in front, continue to lead this race. It is that 27 rider, Nick Gardner. Gardner continue to hold down the fort here as 30 laps now completed on the day. Now we do see that one rider, Brad Lane, really sticking with them here. Really not falling too far back behind that 27 ride. And now we do see that 18 machine of Jacob Group putting some pressure onto the back bumper here of the race line number 1. Alex Pelican also getting around Zach Michael here, so Michael sliding all the way back now into the 5th position as we do see Alex Pelican able to slide up into position number 4, and then we see Nicholas Snyder a little farther back here. Snyder quite a ways back there in that number 5 run. He's about 3.5 seconds back of our race leader, but holding strong for a driver that started back in that 13th position, already up into the 6th spot of the Speedway here, and as one of our Championship 5 drivers, just slowly but surely trying to put himself into the picture frame here, into that battle, up towards the front of the field. And if we see some caution flags or anything else, potentially putting himself right into the battle here this evening. As we do see Gardner, though, out in front, continue to lead the way. He now opens up a little bit more of a lead as we do see a big move in the 18 ride of Jacob Group. Able to get around the 1 ride of Brad Lane, but Lane gonna battle back down on the inside. Does Lane stay there? Does he take a look down to the inside in corner number 3? No, he doesn't. Falls into line in behind the 18 ride. So now for Jacob Group, first time here this evening that he's been inside the top 2 here today, and now he's got the opportunity to try to hunt down Nick Gardner. Gardner out in front now by about 1.2 seconds between himself and the 18 machines. We'll have to wait and see if Group can make the moves and put himself up towards the top spot here. As we do see Pelican, he was able to close in quite a bit there on Brad Lane and on Jacob Group, so he's looking to make this a 3-car hunt for that second position on the racetrack. Zach Michael about 1.5 seconds, 1.2 seconds back behind Alex Pelican here and Brad Lane. Jacob Group, Snyder a little bit back behind him as they do have that 7 ride. Unfortunately, a lap down here for Brent Summers. Summers still in that free pass position, but he may not be there for long. And here we go. We start to see some green flag pit stops. A little bit of damage on the right side of that 38 ride. Probably the reason why he slid from outside the top 7 all the way back to about that 12th, 13th position. But for the 38, able to come down pit side. Here comes that dirt track Junkies ride, looking absolutely beautiful out there on the Speedway. It'll be the first one to come down pit road here for a scheduled green flag pit stop here this evening, and we'll have to wait and see how much that opens up the door here. Who's the next driver to come down pit road, and do we see any of our, top 5 here, any of our 5 championship competitors make that move down pit road early on as well? Will we see them make that early call, come down pit side, try to get some extra tires or anything else? As here we go, we do see Gardner come down pit road. Got to be very cautious, cannot speed down pit lane as Gardner comes down pit road. Jacob Group down pit side, Brad Lane also down pit road, Zach Michael down pit road. Here comes Ed Kochersberger, Tim Blankenbeckler, Rob McDonald also down pit road. We did see Neil Lapidus already make a pit stop, same with William Klein in his is Dirt Track Junkies number 88 ride. Kyle Van Tassel also down pit road. So once we kind of saw Joshua Ledoux make that move down pit road, we see the slew of drivers start to head down pit side. And now here we go. Alex Pelican going to give up the race lead. Here comes Snyder, also down pit road. Snyder coming in with a big head of steam. He's got to get checked up. You do not want to get a speeding penalty. You do not want to have an issue down pit road here that could potentially put you into a very bad position later in this race. We do see K-Dub, Kevin Winker. He'll stay out, and Winker will lead that lap as the Muleburger Custom Homes number 42 of Kevin Winker. From last to first now for that number 42 ride, and he's just out front. We've seen this time and time again out of that Winker Nation ride, just trying to keep himself, pointing the right direction, trying to keep himself out of trouble, and obviously trying to play some of these strategy games here, trying to run stages and everything else a little long, try to run these fuel mileage games out there on the racetrack. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out for him. As Racing Fan 9999 says, Peacemaker, how much do you charge for broadcasting? This is really good. Not a lot, honestly. I mean, to some maybe a lot, but it's usually somewhere around that $25 to $40 range. Depends on how long the action is or anything else, on how long the broadcast will be. But other than that, it's usually roughly around that area per race. But yeah, if you want, shoot me a message over on our Facebook channel. You can shoot messages over there, or you can shoot me a I don't think YouTube's got a DM mode or anything else. You can drop your Discord or something, maybe, potentially, or shoot me an email over on my email. My email account should be on the YouTube description as well, so you can shoot me a message there as well, and we can try to get back to you about it. Now we do see things cycle back through as K-Dub, Kevin Winker, heads down pit side, and look at the battle at the front. Closing the gap down in that pit entry, and it's the 18 rider Jacob Grube, who's now on the back bumper here of Nick Gardner. So Gardner able to hang on to the race lead during that pit cycle, but for Mr. Grube, he was able to close that gap, reel him in here over a second there on that pit stop. That he was a little quicker than the 27, and now right here on his back bumper, looking to try to make the move, looking to try to put himself to the race lead. As so far, it's been all Nick Gardner. He's been virtually the reflection of perfection here this evening. Brad Lane a little farther back now, as Lane back in third. He rolls in about he's about 1.7 seconds back of our race leader now. Really fell back there. Same with Zach Michael. Michael's even farther back. He is now over 5 seconds away from our top three. You do see Nicholas Snyder right there with them, and unfortunately for Alex Pelican, an even slower pit stop for the 16 ride, as he's all the way back now into the 8th position. So a couple of our championship competitors running into some issues there during those green flag pit stops, and unfortunately for Alex, he's stuck all the way back here in that 8th spot on the racetrack now, and he's about 11 seconds back from our race leader here this evening. As Racing Fan says, perfect, I'll check with my other guys and I'll DM you. Thank you, brother. Absolutely, man, absolutely. Hopefully we can get something figured out. I'm usually booked every single night, but if we can find a day in a time frame that works with you and your league, then definitely love to add another race to the stable and definitely get you guys up here onto the broadcast. As Nick Gardner, though, Gardner continues to lead this race, but look at Grube all over his back bumper. Grube really putting the throttle down right now, trying to get this Pump Smoke 22. Number 18 right up towards the front of the field here, hoping to try to get himself that race lead, but man, oh man, oh man, Nick Gardner not going to give it up easily. He knows what's on the line here, and potentially having that clean air, having that clean racetrack in front of you may be the difference maker. But now you do see Grube getting a good run, peeks down to the inside. Does the 27 shut the door? Yes, he does. So Grube has to roll out of it, does not want to run into him, and the 27 gets a great run down through corner number 3 and 4, able to open up the gap there by a couple truck lengths, able to breathe a little bit easier now that we don't have the 18 ride stuck right there onto his back bumper. And man, it is not over yet. These two are going to duke it out here, I think, for a little while, and especially if we stay clean and green. We've done it time and time again here in this series with the HCK Beagles Truck Series. We've seen them do this numerous times. Go a race completely clean and green. No caution flags, no issues, no anything out there on the speedway, and this could be another night of just that. We could see another night of non-stop green flag racing here, and when we see this long green flag run, we've already ran 45 laps of this race, and you take a look at our top two drivers and they're only separated by a couple truck lengths is absolutely insane. And now we do see Brad Lane. I don't know if he's just catching the draft here off of these lap traffic, or if Gardner and Grube had to check up a little bit, try to get their way around the lap traffic. Nonetheless, he is starting to close that gap. He's reeling in our race leaders, but still quite a ways back there. We did see Snyder able to work his way around Zach Michael, but for Nicholas Snyder and Zach Michael, both being back about 6.6 seconds behind our race leader here, 6.5 seconds back of that lead pack of our top two competitors out there on the racetrack. Definitely not a spot you want to be, especially if we see this continue to stay clean and green, especially if we see this kind of work into the favor of the long run strategy here this evening. And so far it's been oh, look at that, we see a pass. It is Grube who's able to take the race lead away from Nick Gardner. So the first time making a pass out there on the racetrack for the race lead here this evening, not in a pit stop strategy there or a pit stop cycle. This is the first time we've seen Nick Gardner get passed out there on the racetrack, and it's Jacob Grube who's able to jump out in front, take this race lead away from the 27 ride. And now we get to see how this gets played out here. How does Jacob Grube hold on to the race lead? Does he start to fall back? Is he using up his equipment a little bit more than the 27 ride is right now? Maybe Gardner trying to play that little cat and mouse game with them. Maybe try to save some of those tires for later in the run. Maybe try to save a little bit of fuel as well, as it's going to get very, very interesting with how many times these guys are going to have to come down pit road. As already, you know, coming down pit side around lap 36, lap 37 there for most of these drivers. You got to think you double that. That's going to put us somewhere around the early 70s, somewhere in that area, probably around lap 72, 74 potentially for these drivers before they come back down pit road for their second green flag pit stop. You go another 36, 37 laps, that's going to put them right around probably lap 1 something, so that should be able to get them clean and green with 2 more green flag pit stops. But you got to get there, you got to hope you don't run in any more caution flags, and then the big question mark will be on whether or not you take fresh tires or you try to roll out there with some older tires and try to save a set for later in the race, especially if we see a late race caution flag. If we get that late race yellow flag out there on the speedway and we start to see some calamities out there on the racetrack, and everyone's got older tires compared to you who may have an extra set back behind pit wall, could be a huge move, could be a big brain play to put yourself up and into victory lane here this evening. But it's a very difficult strategy to call, especially if you're one of our championship 5 drivers here this evening. To make that decision, to make that call, if you're Jacob Grube, Nick Gardner, Nicholas Snyder, who's there in 4th, Zach Michael in 5th, or even Alex Pelican, who's now back into that 6th position, how do you make that strategy call? How do you go about trying to risk it all for this race and try to put yourself into that position? Is going to be very, very tough to do. But we could see one of our other drivers, one of our other competitors, maybe try that game plan. We probably already see it happening out there on the racetrack. You take a look at the 42 rider, Kevin Winker. Winker came down pit road quite a bit later than everybody else here in that 42 ride, as he was the last driver down pit road. But right now he's probably one of the slower drivers out there on the racetrack, just running this strategy. He has went a lap down, but if he can keep it going and try to save that extra set for later in this race, what does that do for the 42, potentially gets himself into the free pass position, potentially gives him the best tires late in the race where he can navigate his way up towards the front and maybe steal this win away, or a top 3, top 5, better than what he might have finished here, not rolling that strategy. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out for him. As Brennan, what's good, Brennan? Brennan says, dang, Trench is actually top 10. Trench is top 10. We got a pair of the juke joint Friends for Pets rides joining our top 10 right now. As we got, there's that beautiful Trench ride out there on the racetrack right now. Trench rolling out there on the racetrack in position number 10, and right in front of him, it is the juke joint Friends for Pets number 10 ride of Tim Blankenbeckler as well. So some pretty solid racing action for each and every one of these drivers, man. So that's actually pretty cool to see a couple of these Friends for Pets rides having some great runs here this evening. And we do see Neil Lapidus not too far back there, as well as the OSOCOutdoors.com ride rolling right there in position number 13. Now he does have the 38 right in front of him, but he gets up, scrapes that wall, unfortunately a little too high there in corner number 2 exit, and he is going to lose another spot. As we did see Ryan Peterson able to get around him, we did see Joshua Ledoux there able to get around him again, as well as Ledoux in that 38 ride, the Dirt Track Junkies ride, trying to slowly but surely work his way back up towards the top 10, but right now he's just rolling there in that 12th position, kind of stuck there. Did take a bit of a different strategy coming down pit road a little earlier than everybody else, and so far not working the best for him. Didn't really gain too much as everyone came down pit road virtually the lap or a couple laps after he did, and didn't really gain anything about making that earlier pit stop. It may even lose more on the second half of this run. As Brennan says, oh, I love it. He loves it, Chad. He loves it. We love it that you're here and cheering on Trench and all of our other amazing drivers here for the Friends for Pets team. But here we go. We do see the 77 ride, though, of Brandon Domingue now working his way down to the inside here of Trench, trying to make that move, trying to put Trench back outside of the top 10, and down low looks like the 77 ride of Brandon Domingue will make that move, will jump up into that 10th position. Unfortunately, Trench now going to slide back into position number 11, but we'll have to wait and see if he can battle back, if he can put himself back into position here this evening, as Tech Warrior Technologies coming in as well with that share on the broadcast. HTK Beagles also coming in with that share on the stream, as well as, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in and you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor right now. Hit that gosh heckin' like button on the stream for us. Hit that thumbs up button on the broadcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Hit the subscribe button, become part of the Peacemaker family here today, and turn those bell notifications on. That way you never miss it when we go green flag racing here on Peacemaker Gaming. Is out in front, continue to lead the way. It is Jacob Grube. Once Grube kind of took that race lead away from Nick Gardner. Gardner's been able to hang with him, but hasn't been able to try to figure out another way to get around him, and we're slowly but surely reeling into an opportunity here for another wave of green flag pit stops. So green flag pit stops looming in the background, and so is it Brad Lane. That is the highest running driver that is not a part of our championship 5 here this evening, as he rolls there in that 3rd position. He's been slowly but surely closing the gap here on Nick Gardner, slowly but surely catching up to Jacob Grube, our race leader, as well here this evening, and so hasn't Nicholas Snyder, but Snyder still quite a ways back here. Snyder all the way back. He's about 6 seconds behind our race leaders right now. Now, he was able to gain about half a second or so on them, maybe even a second since that pit stop, but he is still virtually that entire back straightaway behind our top 3 out there on the speedway, and he's going to need to try to find a little bit more, but he continues to work his way up towards the front, slowly but surely here. One of our championship 5 drivers that started outside of the top 10, started all the way back in 13th, and this race being clean and green hasn't really gave him too many easy opportunities to make moves and try to race his way up towards the top 3, top 4, top 5 here today, but somehow or another he's been able to just do it with pure speed out there on the racetrack and get this 5 ride up and into that 4th position. Now kind of sits in the middle of our Championship 5 as Brad Lane, not a part of the Championship 5, but he does have two drivers in Jacob Grube and Nick Gardner in front of him. Two of our other Championship drivers right behind him as there's Zach Michael and there's Alex Pelican back in position number 6. So still, our top 5 here for the Championship, our 5 Championship competitors all up inside the top 6 here this evening. And they're all being led by Jacob Grube out there on the racetrack as Lisa McDonald says, hashtag juke joint, hashtag frets for pets. We love it, Lisa. We love it. Appreciate that coming in with the hashtags there for juke joint and frets for pets. And Rodney, what's good, Mr. Stewart? Rodney coming in says, dropping in on Texas. He says, yes, Sirski, we're in Texas, baby. The Lone Star State here this evening. The Lone Star State, ladies and gentlemen. This is such a beautiful racetrack, such a beautiful facility, man. And we absolutely love it as this is the Texas Takeover 200 presented by the Dirt Track Junkies here today. And right now it is this 18 ride of Jacob Grube who continues to lead the way. Grube still out in front, still showing these drivers that he means business, man. He came here to try to win this championship. Last year, we saw him almost get it done, almost pick up that championship, but unfortunately, out of the 2 races that we ran, he ended up missing one of those races, and as he missed one of those races, it kind of took him out of the opportunity. He ended up, I do believe he ended up winning or coming second in our final race of the season, and could have really gave himself a golden opportunity, a great chance at potentially winning the championship last year, but missing that first race of the championship round. He missed out, did not get the chance to win the championship, but here this season, he's looking like a driver with a game plan, and he is driving this 18 ride like a bat out of hell here, and he is driving like he stole it as he wants to try to not only capture tonight's victory, but he wants to set himself as the driver that is going to be the one to beat for this championship here in Season 7 of the HCK Beagles Truck Series. As now he's starting to open up a bit of a gap here, a little bit more between himself and Nick Gardner. The gap is now about 0.8 of a second, almost 0.9 of a second here between Grube and this 27 ride of Nick Gardner. And Gardner's got to be very, very careful as that number 1 rider, Brad Lane, continues to close the gap on him here and slowly but surely catching up to that 27 ride. We do see Snyder still back here. Actually, looks like Snyder is back that pace up ever so slightly here. Snyder now back about 6.5 seconds again behind our race leader. He had cut that lead to almost 5.5 second gap, but has given a bunch back here over the last handful of laps, and unfortunately for Snyder, looking like he's really starting to feel that pain, feeling that pressure here, maybe running a little too strong on those tires. Same with Zach Michael in the number 5 ride in that 5th position, or not the 5 ride, the 34 ride in that 5th position. Alex Pelican back here in that Celsius Bucky's number 16 ride, rolling there in that 6th position. Still running some pretty good lap times here, but unfortunately still back quite a ways. And now, oh, look out! Nick Gardner goes around. Caution flag on the racetrack. Our first yellow flag of the day. Heavy damage here for one of our championship competitors. We talked about Gardner and how he was starting to fall back and how he was really struggling with that 27 ride, and Brad Lane was catching up to him in a quick hurry. But, oh man, I don't know if this one was his fault or not, because watch the 26 ride. The OSOCOutdoors.com Fresh for Pets machine right there. Bounces it off the outside fence, comes down the track, ends up right there into the right rear quarter panel of the 27 of Nick Gardner, and that just gets Gardner turned around, up and into the outside fence. Heavy damage there for that 27 ride. Look at the nose kind of just cut off right there. Man, that is a tough break for one of our championship competitors, having himself just such a great day at the Speedway, inside the top 1 or 2 positions all evening long. And that's how potentially his night may come to an end. I do believe he does have a quick repair still back there behind pit wall, and I do believe he's going to have to use it. There's no way he doesn't use it as you watch the 26 again. Bounces it off the wall, ends up just clipping the 27 ride, and that's just enough to turn this car right up into the outside fence. Heavy hit there for him, in our first caution flag of the day. As Dimitri says, damn, man, that's unfortunate. Yeah, definitely unfortunate. If the 26 was a little bit farther behind. If Gardner would have been able to either be, a truck length behind him, if he doesn't go for the pass right here, potentially everything would have been A-okay. If he would have been, maybe even a little farther down below this racing line, or potentially a little bit farther forward, may not have gotten clipped, may not have ever seen a caution flag at all. Nonetheless, though, it's not how it works out, and sometimes the timing, it is a fickle bitch out there on the racetrack, and that was just some very, very bad timing there for the 27 ride as Nick Gardner gets collected into the wall. Heavy damage there for him. Now down pit road, trying to get this thing repaired, trying to get it fixed up, and rolling back out there onto the racetrack. We'll have to wait and see if the crew's got a quick repair or not, or if that may be game over here for that number 27 ride. Doesn't even look like there's a racer in the cockpit of that car right now for how much smoke is coming out of it. They probably pulled him out of that car, as man, that is a tough break there for him, and definitely not the way he wanted this one to go. We'll have to wait and see if he can stroll back out onto the racetrack. Yeah, it definitely looks like they've got the driver he's exited that race car. We don't see him in there, and unfortunately, the crew is going to work trying to get this thing under control, trying to get this car fixed up and back out there onto the racetrack as Jacob Grube and the rest of the field, they're going to get ready to go back to battle. They were able to make their pit stops there on lap number 70, so that's going to really balance out pretty much everything here for a lot of these drivers, and could really open up the floodgates here on how this one may finish off the evening. But we do see Gardner still down pit side. Oh, this is such a heartbreaker for Nick. Such a heartbreaker, having such a great run all evening long. Led virtually, the first 50, 60 laps of this race. Fell back to second there, and then, a short time later, gets clipped, gets turned into that outside fence, and now down pit side, already a lap down. Still smoke flying out of that car, still coming out of it at a rapid pace, but it does look like they have gotten him back into the race car, so we do see him sitting back in there, so that's at least good news. Maybe they're making progress here and getting this car fixed up, and maybe we'll get him back out there on the racetrack before long, but nonetheless, we'll have to wait and see because he's already a lap down. He's going to need more caution flags, and after running virtually the first 69 laps or so of this race caution-free, now that we see our first yellow flag of the day, does that open up more yellow flags, or do we see it go back to good, hard green flag racing out there on the racetrack? We'll have to wait and find out as here we go, getting ready to go back to green flag racing as Jacob Grube out in front. It's Nicholas Snyder there in second. Brad Lane in third with Zach Michael back in fourth. Chris Gilbert there in fifth. Alex Pelican back in sixth. Then we see Brandon Ming, Ed Koshersberger, Tim Blankenbeckler, Rob McDonald rounding out our top 10. Joshua Ledoux, Ryan Peterson, Brett Summers there in 13th. Neil Lapid is back in 14th here. Neil still the first car, one lap down. Kevin Wenker also a lap down here. They're hoping to get some more caution flags here that they're not a part of, so that way they can try to get themselves back on the lead lap. But here we go, back to green flag racing as Jacob Grube gets that green flag quickly back onto the loud pedal. You see that one rider, Brad Lane. Lane looking to try to slide back up into second here, but Nick Snyder gonna battle hard here. Looks like Snyder with a great run down the back straightaway will hang on to that second position. Clears Brad Lane, keeps Lane there in position number 3 on the speedway. And for the other 4 competitors here for our championship out there on the racetrack, they're all inside the top 5. And for our 5th competitor here for that championship, Nick Gardner, still down pit road. I do believe this is going to virtually take him out of any chances of winning this race or even getting back into this race, as now he will fall to about 3 or 4 laps down out there on the racetrack in the 27 ride. I don't think he's going to get enough wave rounds, enough lucky dogs, enough anything to even get himself close to being back on the lead lap. And that is a heartbreaker here. First race of our 3-race shootout here. And now you do see Zach Michael making some big moves as Michael not only able to get around the one of Brad Lane, but also gets around Nicholas Snyder. And Zach Michael now up into position number 2. So this 34 ride has either figured something out or he's got something working for him. Nonetheless, this 34 Cummins Junkies Rush Truck Centers. Number 34 ride up into position number 2, and he's going to be looking to try to hunt down our race leader, Jacob Grube, here in a quick hurry. As we take a look farther back, we do see Kevin Winker. K-Dub is able to work himself now into the lucky dog position. So that's a great break there for Kevin Winker. If we were able to see a caution flag fly, could potentially get that wave around the lucky dog back onto the lead lap here today. But right now, he needs that yellow flag to come back out to give him another opportunity here this evening to get himself back into this race. Klein right there behind him. Klein now in the runner-up position here for the lucky dog. He'll look to try to hunt down that 42 ride of Kevin Winker. Lapidus, Kyle Van Tassel right there as well, all a lap down out there on the racetrack. Nick Gardner still down pit side, still off and out of this race. And now we do see Brett Summers. Summers took the wave around there. He was trying to get himself back onto the lead lap, in which case he was able to do so, but now having to come back down pit road, did not get a quick caution flag to get himself back into the battle. And for the 7 down pit side, he will fall once again a lap down out there on the racetrack, as Zach Michael able to jump up and take that race lead away from Jacob Grube. So Grube does slide back to second as Zach Michael jumps out in front. Oh baby, it's on like Donkey Kong, and Zach Michael making some late race moves to put himself up and into the top spot here this evening, now leading all of our championship 5 drivers out there on the racetrack. His Grube right behind him, Snyder there in 3rd. We see Alex Pelican back in 5th as Brad Lane rolls right there in front of him in that 4th position. Chris Gilbert, Brandon DeMeng, the number 19 of Ed Kochersberger, the 38 ride, that is Joshua Ledoux now into 9th. So good to see Ledoux in the Dirt Track Junkies ride back up inside the top 10. Tim Blankenbeckler there in the 10th position, with Rob McDonald back in 11th. Brian Peterson there in 12th, and Kevin Winker in position number 13. Klein there in 14th. Neil Lapidus in 15th. Then we see Kyle Van Tassel, Brett Summers, our top 17. Nick Gardner back in position number 18. And Nathaniel Ostrowski ran into some connection issues as well throughout this race. He's also a lot of laps down here. He's about 16, 17 laps down, back in the 19th position here this evening. And for Nick Gardner, that's still another potential position that he may lose here this evening if he does not get back out there onto the racetrack. But nonetheless, we see Michael out in front leading this race, but man, oh man, oh man, here comes the 18 ride, almost going down through the grass right there, looking to take the race lead back away from the 34, as they will battle again door to door. Here for the race lead is 80 laps completed and about 57 laps left to go here this evening. So 57 laps of racing action left here today from the beautiful Texas Motor Speedway, the No Limits Texas. Here in this one is the Texas Takeover presented by Dirt Track Junkies here today. And you do see that 18 rider Grube able to make the move, take that race lead away from Zach Michael. Michael looks like he's going to slide back to second and maybe even into the third, because here comes that 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder. Snyder looking to try to get back around this 34 ride as well. And man, some great battle in here at the front of the field. Now you do see Alex Pelican. He was looking down low, thinking about trying to make the move around Brad Lane. Doesn't look like he was able to get the run he was looking for, though, and we'll have to settle back into that 5th position. But as of right now, if you're one of these 4 drivers out of our 5 championship competitors here at the front of the field, you got to be feeling a little bit more confident about your chances. If you can keep yourself clean out of trouble here this evening, you kind of dodge a bullet. And if we see another one of these drivers up towards the front, like Jacob Grube, Zach Michael, Nicholas Snyder, run into a similar situation like we saw for Nick Gardner, potentially we could see, only 3 drivers having a good shot at winning this championship after, next week and the week after, the season finale. The more and more that these guys are running into problems, the more and more chances it's going to give someone else to build a big points lead up that they can feel very, very comfortable going into next week's race or our season finale here in a couple weeks time. So for these drivers, they got to be feeling good. At least that's one bullet dodged for Pelican, for Nicholas Snyder, Zach Michael, and Jacob Grube. That's one tough competitor that may potentially not have a opportunity to win this championship. So for them, they're just continuing to battle their race, have their race, and try to just keep themselves out of trouble. And for Grube, he's been doing the best at it, man. Ben out in front, leading some pretty good laps here this evening. Slowly but surely will load up and get closer and closer to potentially taking over the most laps led here on the evening over Nick Gardner, as Gardner does still hold that accolade, has led the most laps here this evening, but it's going to get very, very close to that 18 ride, taking the most laps led away from that number 27 machine here today. And unfortunately for Nick Gardner, still down pit road, still off the racetrack, and I do believe this is going to be game over for him. This is night over, game over, potentially going to even fall back another position into the 19th spot here. And as he's back in 19th and seeing these drivers battle up at the front, this is really going to be bad for him. This is going to be potentially a season over here just in our first race of our Championship 3 competition, or Championship 5 competition here in our championship round of racing action, as we do see Gardner, that is Snyder and Zach Michael battling back there for that second spot once again. Snyder trying to jump up, take that second position away from that 34. Michael trying to hold on strong here, but looks like the 5 right able to power down through corner number 3 and 4. Looks like he'll jump up and clear that 34 right and take position number 2 away from Zach Michael. Michael, though, going to try to battle back here, looking to try to get back to the outside of that 5 ride, but down through corner number 1 and out of corner number 2. Looks like Snyder will clear him and take over position number 2 here on the racetrack. And as they continue to battle, now you see a big block right there as the 34 goes down to the inside. They make contact. Look out, Snyder has to catch it. A big slide right there. Somehow or another able to catch that truck and keep it pointed in the right direction. Zach Michael does get around him here again, and we'll have to keep an eye on it as here comes the rest of the field in a quick hurry, as we saw these drivers have to get checked up there, not wanting to drive over top of each other or run over one another or put themselves into a bad position. Now we see the 77 of Brandon Deming, the 45 of Chris Gilbert right there, and I'm sure for that 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder, he's not going to be very happy with that contact, with that move right there out of the 34 of Zach Michael. And now you see the 16 down to his inside, and he's loose again. Oh, baby, that slug that he had probably really heated up those tires, really made that thing is going to drive awful here for the next few laps until those tire pressures kind of come back down. The heat kind of gets worked out of them. He is going to be having his hands full, and that's just going to be worse and worse and worse for him. And we'll have to see that as here comes the 45 right of Chris Gilbert right there onto his back bumper, pushing him down into corner number 3 as Gilbert now into 7th. We'll see if he can work his way around that 5 right as well, as you still see him slipping and sliding around, still trying to catch this right as the Snyder Bynes racing machine just trying to keep it pointing in the right direction. And if you're Zach Michael, you want to know that you want to run away with this. You want to run away, not have that 5 ride once again on your back bumper here this evening. If you get that 5 ride back to your rear end late in this race or later in this championship where it could be a no give and all take, he may pay that back and may give you a good shot in the rear bumper. So we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out, as with that contact, with that slide, and both drivers having to check up and all the cats back behind him kind of having nowhere to go right there. It's allowed Jacob Grube to open up just a massive lead advantage here. Over 2.25 seconds between himself and our second place driver. There's the gap right there. That is a big gap between first and second out there on the racetrack, and that's going to give him a hell of an advantage. Over 2 seconds now separating first and second, and he's going to look to just try to continue to pull away and keep these guys back there at bay, and now really going to hope to see this race go clean and green down to the checkered flag. Does not want to see another caution flag, especially if he can use this gap to his advantage to have a good pit stop, make a good solid pit stop, and then come out with the race lead. Could potentially put him into a very good opportunity and position later in this race. As right now for the 18 rider Jacob Rubin, for a lot of these other drivers, pit stops are kind of around the corner here and probably about the next 15 laps or so. And if we keep it clean and green, it's definitely going to get very interesting to see when these drivers have to be forced down pit road here to make some more green flag pit stops. But for us, we're going to jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume. Cheer on your favorite drivers here this evening as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Caution on the racetrack. Yellow flag, yellow flag, yellow flag. Here during the Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up, we do see the caution flag fly here for the second time here this evening, and it's another one of our playoff competitors. We saw him earlier on having some issues, and it looks like Nicholas Snyder going to run into some more problems here. Let's take a look at the 5 ride. We saw him continuing to fall back farther and farther and farther. This was right in front of our 10th place driver, Rob McDonald, right here. Rob's going to end up getting some contact into him right there, and unfortunately spins that 5 ride around up into the outside fence, almost virtually like what we saw with the 26 ride, but this time it's just Snyder. We saw this car numerous times out there on the racetrack, just getting loose and looser and looser. Also, the tires fading away here on that 5 ride after the contact between him and that 34 Zach Michael, and finally he kind of loses it there at a corner number 4, and McDonald comes in, really nowhere to go there, and not enough time to react, and unfortunately just catches a piece of him, helps him go around up into the outside fence. Pretty heavy hit right there for the 5 ride. I'm not sure what the extent of the damage will be here for the 5 ride and how that's going to affect his day here this evening, or if he'll be able to get that repaired during this caution flag, but nonetheless, not the spot you want to be for one of our championship competitors. And I do believe, great news here for all the Winker Nation fans, is I do believe the wave around will go to this 42 ride, so Kevin Winker will get the lucky dog, the free pass back onto the lead lap here this evening. As, man, that was a good one right there. Yeah, right before you cut away from Rob's view, I saw the 5 fishtail a little. Yeah, it was literally right after, virtually right after we switched from we saw him fishtail quite a bit right there, honestly. Let's be real. We saw him fishtail quite a bit. I don't know how he didn't spin it out earlier or even after just that contact between him and that 34. But nonetheless, we did see Winker get back on a lead lap. We see Snyder down pit side, going to get extensive repairs done to this number 5 right now. Good break for him here is that he is only... and we fallen back into about the 12th position here, so really not going to lose too much if he can stay on the lead lap and keep battling here today. He's not going to be too far behind, as there we go. You do see him roll back out, back onto the throttle, but oh man. What was that noise? Was that his car blowing up right there? Was that Nick Gardner's car blowing up right there? I don't know. Someone's car just had an issue right there rolling out of the pits. I don't know if that was Nick Snyder having some sort of mechanical issue, but looks like this car has been pretty much fixed up here. And it sounds fine now rolling down the back straightaway, so we'll have to wait and see kind of where that happened and what brought that noise out. But nonetheless, we'll get them all ready to rock and roll. We'll get ready to go back. The battle is out in front leading this race. It is the number 18 Ryan, the Pop Smoke 22 machine of Jacob Grube out in front, continue to lead this race. Brad Lane there in second, Alex Pelican in third. We see Brandon Ming right there, Zach Michael, and now luckily enough for all these drivers coming down pit side on lap 103 will put them all back on the same strategy. Looks like everyone that came down pit road right there, they are good on fuel. They can make it to the end of this race. They will not have to come back down pit road here this evening. So that's a major break for a lot of these drivers, able to keep themselves, kind of, out there on the racetrack. You don't have to worry about another green flag pit stop. It's now about whatever you got to take here. You got to give it everything here on this final run if you want to try to give yourself an opportunity to win this race. If you're Jacob Grube, you got to not only run a picture-perfect final, 30 laps of this race, but you just got to be nice and easy out there on the speedway. Cannot make any mistakes. We're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing. We're going to jump on board here with the Dirt Track Junkies number 38 ride. Mr. Joshua Ledoux here for this restart as, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we'll continue on with our Peacemaker Gaming. Crank it up here for a few more moments, and then we'll go back to the racing action here this evening. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for all of our drivers. A beautiful crank it up session here this evening. Is out in front, still leading this race. It is that 18 ride of Mr. Jacob Grube. Grube out in front, showing these drivers that he is the truck to beat here this evening as he continues to have the race lead, continues to hold these drivers back there at bay as he sits at the front of the field. But we did take a look back there. We do see Zach Michael sitting in position number 5 right now, and behind him is that 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder. Snyder probably not going to be very happy with that 34 ride after the contact that they shared there that helped contribute to the looseness in the bat handling. 5 ride going around, bringing up the last caution flag. So I think Snyder, he might be a little bit upset. He might be a little unhappy with that 34 ride. Now, I don't know if he would retaliate and potentially have more issues with the 34 ride. I don't think that's going to be a big issue here. I think drivers are going to be a little bit more cool, calm, and collective, obviously knowing that there's so much more on the line, and just for Snyder to be able to rebound, keep that truck, still on the racetrack and in the fight here this evening, and almost back up inside the top 5. The best way to get payback to the 34 ride would be able to jump up here, make the move around the 34, and pass him and put him back behind you and beat him out there on the racetrack and not having issues there with the contact or anything else. But it's getting down to clown time here, because it is this race is quickly coming to a close, and now we do see them door to door. Big run right there for Snyder down to the inside. Now they're side by side down the back straightaway. Let's see how this one gets played out. You see the 5 ride get a little bit more of a middle entry right there, forcing the 34 a little bit more up the racetrack here. So that's going to have to change the driving lane for that 34 ride as they stay door to door back down across the line. So Snyder and Michael side by side, and I'm not sure if Snyder is going to be able to just kind of slide up and clear him right there. The 34 is just going to hold strong to the outside, in which case may just continue to add to the pressure, and to the how drivers feel and everything else. I thought right there maybe he was going to clip him, but man, oh man, love tap wouldn't hurt. Yeah, love tap may not hurt, but tempting, but no, yeah, exactly, it wouldn't be that smart. But man, so much is on the line, so much pressure, so much everything, hanging over your head coming into a race like this, knowing that the championship is on the line. You don't want to throw it away now that you've gotten here and you're part of this Championship 5 competition. But it will get payback on another championship driver that may have ruined your night, may have ruined your chances of potentially getting a race win, or potentially having a better run where they could have potentially, had a good top 2, top 3 run here this evening. We'll have to wait and see kind of how that plays out, and if frustrations start to boil over here for these drivers. But as of right now, looks like the 5 ride of Snyder not able to complete that pass, has to slide back in behind the 34 ride of Zach Michael. Michael now going to try to keep him back there at bay and not within striking distance here to close out this race. And as that's been battling back there behind him, up here at the front of the field, we see Jacob Grube. Grube continue to lead this race, has now led the most laps here this evening. Has this 18 ride out in front, has about half a second between himself and that number 16 of Alex Pelican. Pelican rolling there in position number 2. That's 2 of our championship competitors here at the front of the field. And you see this 26 ride, that is Neil Lapidus. Lapidus was the driver that ran out of room, got into the outside fence and bounced off the wall and into the 27 of Nick Gardner, who was one of our top competitors here this evening and one of the drivers that could have potentially won this race and was battling for that championship, who is now down pit road and has been down pit side here, and actually is looking at that car now back behind pit wall. So looks like Nick Gardner's day is done. That is a heartbreaker there for Mr. Gardner, out of this race, and obviously, and not the spot that he wants to be. But you do see this 26 right, Neil Lapidus. Lapidus trying to race his way back from a couple laps down there, had to make a later pit stop, trying to play some strategy, trying to work himself back into this race. Unfortunately, it did not work out for him. He had to come back down pit road. Same with Brett Summers there shortly after our yellow flag pit stops, and he's got the better tires and everything else, and he's looking to try to just race his way back a lap here today for that Friends for Pets juke joint ride. But he's going to need a little bit more help, maybe a couple more caution flags and opportunities for him to get more laps back here in this race. As of right now, he rolls there behind the 18 ride, stuck all the way back in about the 17th position. But Jacob Grube out in front, down across the line, will click off another lap, and we see only 11 more laps left to go. And that battle back here for that 5th position, it may not be over yet. We still see the 5 ride trying to hold there with them, but Michael able to keep a little bit of a gap between himself and Snyder out there on the racetrack. But it's Pelican in position number 2 here, has an opportunity to try to race his way up there and maybe battle with Jacob Grube for this race win here this evening and try to get that first win here on our championship round. Definitely would be a great move there for Pelican. Honestly, Jacob Grube has looked very, very strong here all evening long, and now opening up his gap to about a second here between himself and the 16 ride. So Grube actually starting to pull farther and farther away from Alex Pelican, from Brad Lane, and the rest of these competitors. As Lane has been doing a great job as well. Has been up inside the top 3, top 4 pretty much all evening long, and that race line number 1 machine rolls there in that 3rd position. Brandon Ming able to battle his way up into position number 4 as Zach Michael and Nicholas Snyder round out our top 6. There we see Chris Gilbert back in 7th, and Koschersberger there in 8th. Joshua Ledoux in the Dirt Track Junkies number 38 ride there in 9th, and K-Dub Kevin Winker up inside the top 10 here this evening. Now for Kevin Winker fans in the stands, Winker's in a very, very curious position. If we see a late race caution flag, may have an extra set of tires back behind pit wall, may also be in the best position to come down pit side, throw a set of tires on and see if that could help him out late in this race to get a better finish. So we'll have to wait and see if we do see that late race yellow flag and how that may help him here today. As Grube, though, out in front, just continuing to open up that race lead. It's about 1.1 seconds between himself and Alex Pelican. Pelican now has that 26 ride on Mr. Ledoux in between himself and our race leader as well. So not only does he have to work his way through some lap traffic to get to the 18 ride, but he's got to also try to close that gap in pass the 18, which is no easy task. We've already seen some of those blocks be thrown. We saw it back there for position number 2, 30 laps, 40 laps ago, where the 34 and the 5 ride made contact, and obviously their frustrations out there on the racetrack. But for Zach Michael, he hasn't really been able to work himself much farther forward. We thought he'd be right up there trying to battle with that 1 ride of Brad Lane, or even with Alex Pelican for position number 2 here. But Pelican off that restart kind of fell back into that 5th position and has just stayed there, and now starting to lose touch of that 77 of Brandon Ming and the 1 ride of Brad Lane. So just kind of settled in to this 5th position, but feeling a lot more comfortable now with a 5, 6, 7 car length gap between himself and the 5 of Snyder out there on the racetrack. His Grube, though, looking to try to win this race, looking to try to get his championship run underway here this evening with a big win at Texas, knowing that this would give him the points lead. This would give him the opportunity to have a little bit of extra breathing room going into our final 2 races of the year, as next week's penultimate race is going to get very, very interesting here, especially with, drivers like, Nick Snyder or Zach Michael going to have to be trying to play catch-up. They got to be able to gain points over Pelican and Grube to try to get themselves back into the battle, and especially for Nick Garner, Garner's got to bank on hopefully those 4 drivers having issues, having problems throughout the final 2 races that could open up the door for him to get back into the action. But I think even with that 1 mistake, I think for the 5 championship competitors, you have a bad run, you have a race like Nick Gardner where you come home in the bottom half of the field or, outside the top 15, more than likely your chances of winning this championship may have went out the window, and that's a heartbreaker there for Nick Gardner here this evening. As Jacob Grube continues to lead the way, nice and easy, down the back straightaway into corner number 3 here at the No Limits Texas Motor Speedway here this evening in the Texas Takeover, presented by and sponsored by Dirt Track Junkies here this evening. Make sure you guys go check out Dirt Track Junkies at www.dirttrackjunkies.com. Here today, get yourself some absolutely amazing merchandise, hats, t-shirts, any memorabilia over there at Dirt Track Junkies here this evening. evening as, man, Jacob Grube looking to try to pick up that Dirt Track Junkies trophy here this evening. As Pelican still about a second back behind him, and the laps are closing down in a quick Curry. Brad Lane back there in third. Deming in fourth. Zach Michael still rounding out our top five. Snyder in position number 6 with Chris Gilbert back in 7th, and Conchersberger there in 8th. Joshua Ledoux and his Dirt Track Junkies ride trying to hold on to 9th position, but Kevin Winker, K-Dub in that Muleburger Custom Homes ride looking to make the move around him, and looks like K-Dub will make that move up and into 9th, sliding Mr. Ledoux back into the 10th spot on the racetrack. But Josh trying to battle back here, gets to the right to the back bumper of that 42 ride, but not quite enough to try to battle back around him here this evening. So move K-Dub up and in to the 9th position. As Jacob Grube out in front, we'll see the white flag fly. So the next flag will end this race no matter what, whether it is a caution flag or a checker flag. The next flag will end this race, and for Jacob Grube has over a second between himself and Alex Pelican, and only one set of corners left to go as he heads down the back straightaway, and for the final time here this evening sends it into corner number 3. Nice and easy down and out of corner number 4. It's all the Pump Smoke 22, the Tech Warrior ride, the 18 of Jacob Grube here this evening that will pick up the checker flag here today in our Texas Takeover 200, sponsored by Dirt Track Junkies here this evening. It's all Jacob Grube as he picks up the checker flag and wins this race. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Jacob Grube, as we'll take a look back here, see if there's any extra contact here. Obviously, Snyder going to be not happy with the 34. Maybe just rolling beside him, letting him know that, like, hey, I'm here, brother. I'm not happy about what you did, and we're going to have some conversations about that. And we may see a fight down on pit road here as he's going to follow him right down there. We'll have to wait and see what these drivers are going to do. Looks like the 34 is going to roll onto the binders a little quicker, allow that 5 ride to go on by him as he wants no part of that action. But here we go, celebrating on the front straightaway, winning the first race of 3 here in our championship round. It's one of our championship competitors, the 18 of Jacob Grube, who picks up the dub here this evening, gets to celebrate here in Texas, as everything is bigger in Texas, and no bigger win than that one right there, setting the tone here for the final round of our playoffs here, trying to win this championship here in season 7 of the HCK Beagles Truck Series. Jacob Grube ready to go battle here for the next 2 races. I'm sure he's going to be excited about this one, but he knows the job's not done. He's still got a little bit more that he's got to do here to try to win that championship. If this was a one-and-done championship race, then he would have been already crowned our champion here this evening, but unfortunately 3 races in this championship round, meaning that he has to try to do this 2 more times here. Has to try to keep that car at the front of the field, getting good points, getting solid days here, and trying to hope that he gets enough points that at the end of the 3 races, he will be crowned as our champion here in season 7. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Jacob Grube as we'll get ready to pull him and the rest of our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth here for their post-race interviews. Post-race interviews coming up next here. We'll get them into the broadcast booth here and see what they got to say about today's racing action and how this one kind of got played out here this evening. As, man, that was a ton of fun. That was some great racing action, and let's go. Let's pull them up here right now. Jacob Grube waiting patiently down in victory lane. Let's get him up here into the booth. Hey, Jacob, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. You get a copy?
I got you loud and clear, Aaron.
Jacob, man, what a run, what a race, man. Take us back through this one. Slowly but surely work yourself through that top 5 up to the back bumper of Mr. Gardner there, and then you're able to make that move around him right around lap number 60 or so, able to take that race lead away from the 27 ride as he started to struggle a little bit. You were really coming to life out there on the racetrack, and then obviously issues there for the 27 ride following you taking the race lead away from him. He gets timed up in some lap traffic issues and ends up into the fence, down pit side and out of this race, which kind of takes away one of your championship competitors here this evening. But you still had some work to do. Still had another restart and another couple of restarts after that is Pelican, Michael, Snyder right there hoping to try to beat you here this evening, but you just hit your marks, don't make any mistakes, and you drive this 18 right up and into victory lane here this evening in our first of 3 races for this championship, man. Take us back through it and what's going to go through your mind mind right now as you get to celebrate down there in Victory Lane?
Just relieved. Happy to start off this round with a win. It's going to put me into a good position to be able to challenge for the top spot. So, um, I really hate what happened to Nick Gardner. We were having such a good race, and what could have been for him. I don't know. I hate to see that. I was nervous about passing lap cars the whole race. So I hate when something like that happens. But hats off to him. He was running a good race until that happened. But as far as me, it was just a matter of staying disciplined and wrapping that bottom around 1 and 2 like I wanted to, and save the tire. And I knew that if I could do that, I could stay disciplined and keep the car in position. That eventually, over the long run, I was going to have some tires to compete. So yeah, that was my focus, and it kind of paid off. I think I had to make some defensive moves on restarts, but after we got midway through the run and stuff, I was just kind of able to run my pace and run my line and kind of dictate the race right that way. So yeah, really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun when you're out in front and you see some of the other playoff competitors struggling a little bit back there behind you. They're getting contact between each other, trying to open up lanes, trying to make moves to be able to try to hunt you down. Unfortunately for them, having issues sliding them back a little farther, and it allows you to get a little bit more of a point lead here. Is obviously Pelican right behind you, but you can get a couple non-playoff drivers there. Brad Lane and Brandon Domain inside our top 5, pushing Zach Michael and Snyder back to 5th and 6th on the Speedway. Give me that extra little bit of a gap here, and knowing that over the next couple races, if you can just be consistent as you were tonight, and you put yourself into positions to win another race or two, that potentially Season 7 championship may go your way.
Yeah, I won't lie. When I seen old Nick Snyder have some troubles and went back there, I did breathe a sigh of relief, because I knew if I could get a good finish here, then he's one of the top contenders, if not the top contender. So yeah, anytime you can get a few points on him, it's going to be huge towards the end, and hopefully towards the championship, and having those few points, it's really going to come in handy.
Absolutely, every single penny is going to count here late in the season, trying to hunt down the championship. But for yourself, Jacob, you're able to get as many as you can here tonight as you park that Pop Smoke 22, number 18, right up and in victory lane here this evening at Texas Motor Speedway, here in the Texas Takeover, sponsored by Dirt Track Junkies here this evening. Jacob, who'd you like to thank for winning tonight's feature event?
Honestly, I'd like to thank the other competitors out here. We think we put on a really good race, and it was really clean and just racing really hard. So that was a lot of fun. Hopefully, it was fun to watch. So thanks to the other competitors, and thanks to you.
Absolutely, brother. It's always my pleasure being up here in the booth and watching you guys duke it out there week after week after week. And now it's coming down to the wire here. Only a couple races left to go, and hopefully a couple more trips for you up here into the broadcast booth. Jacob, congrats on the win, brother, and good start to this championship round and your championship hunt here this year.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night, and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for the number 18 as Jacob Grube picks up the checkered flag here this evening. Now in the top position here, going into our final 2 races for this championship. Can Grube hold them back there and keep himself as the top performer and win this championship? We'll have to find out in the next race, in the next couple races here, as he's still got a lot of work to do, man. Still a couple races left to go on the season. It's going to get very tough for him, but we'll get ready to pull in our second place finisher, Alex Pelican. Pelican, second most points out there on the racetrack here. We'll see what the 16 Ryan's got to say about his performance here this evening. Hey, Alex, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. To get a copy? Hey, Alex, it's Aaron up here in the booth. To get a copy? All right, well, we don't have Alex Pelican in there right now. Obviously, he was AFK away, maybe going to the bathroom or something else, so we'll have to wait for Pelican to potentially jump in here, but we can pull in our third-place finisher, Brad Lane, right now. Lane is waiting patiently down pit side. Let's pull him up here into the booth. Hey, Brad, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
Yes, sir. Hey, Aaron.
Brad, man, very, very solid run for you here all night long. In that, second, third, fourth position here inside the top 5 all evening. And looking like you had a very, very good car, just maybe just not quite enough to be able to, jump up and battle with Jacob Grube there late in the race or early on with that 27 ride of Nick Garner. But you were right there putting the pressure onto their back bumper here throughout the evening. And one slip up, one mistake from them could have potentially put you up into victory lane here this evening. But you're still able to come home and bring it in with a solid top 3 performance.
Yeah, I had a good night. I feel like I had really good long run speed, especially at the beginning of the race, and would have liked to have seen this go caution free, which racing here, pretty tight race and gets loose after a long run. So I figured that wasn't going to be the case, but yeah, it was also tough too, because I felt like the whole race I was sandwiched in between the championship 5 drivers. So I wanted to try to cut them some slack and didn't want to ruin their season by being too aggressive. But congrats to Jacob and those guys that ran well, and yeah, I'm happy with the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. That's got to be a very, very tough position to be in. Obviously, wanting to run your own race and win a race here late in the season, but having those championship 5 right around you virtually all evening long for a lot of this race. The top 5 for our championship were all inside the top 6. You were the only driver in the top 6, not a part of that championship hunt, and kind of just stuck right there in the middle of it, kind of trying to figure out what you can do to not ruin their day, but also make your day a little bit better, man. That's going to be a very, very stressful situation to be in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was the battle all night long. I think after the last restart, I had a run on Pelican and off of 2, and I could have, went to his inside going into 3, but I didn't want to put him in that spot, so I just decided to stay behind him and push him. So it's little things like that, just decisions that I made to just kind of mind my P's and Q's and just let those guys battle it out, but be right there just in case they messed up.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's better to just do that and live to tell another tale and try again on another day. But here tonight, man, you're still able to come home with a solid top 3 run, put yourself right in position all evening long for this great finish, and you're able to capture the top 3 here this evening. Obviously not a part of our championship any longer, but man, you got to be pretty happy with not only your run here tonight, but how you've ran all season long.
Oh yeah, I've prided myself in racing clean, and I think I've done that so far. I haven't wrecked anybody this year, so I'll take pride in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brad, you come home here in 3rd tonight, man. Who would you like to thank for such a great run and great drive out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, I mean, just the league for having me. I've got Nick and Chris, good teammates, kind of bounce off some ideas, pit strategy, and just things like that. So I want to give a shout out to them.
Absolutely. Well, Brad, you come home here in 3rd tonight, brother. Only a couple races left on the season, maybe a couple more opportunities for you to jump up here into the broadcast booth, and maybe one of these nights back up here in the victory lane. And we hope to see you back up here, at least a couple more times here on the season.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you, Aaron. Have a good night.
Absolutely, as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our 3rd place finisher, Brad Lane, as Lane comes home in position number 3 here this evening. We'll see if we can get Pelican back up here. Normally he is he's out of here by the end of these races. But we'll see if we can get him back in here. Maybe he's back on the PC now, unless if he has went and called it a night. We'll see. Hey, Alex, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy? Alrighty, so no Alex Pelican still, our 2nd place finisher. He is AFK, and unfortunately looks like he is done for the evening. But nonetheless, Alex Pelican, hell of a run, hell of a drive there for that number 16 ride as he's able to jump up into position number 2 here this evening. A solid run, solid day there for that 16 ride. Obviously had some issues on that first green flag pit stop, fell back a few spots there. He was back into about that 9th, 10th position, battled his way back up up into 6, and then threw a couple of those caution flags right up here back inside the top 5, top 3, and late in this race making those moves and putting himself up and into second now. Not the most points out of our championship 5 for Alex Pelican, but being able to slide up there in second, getting the second amount of points here. Obviously having Zach Michael Snyder and Gardner back behind him sets himself up nicely here for the next couple races in pretty good striking distance of Jacob Grube for what could be this season's championship. So huge shout out there to Alex Pelican, to him and all of his teammates and everyone else in the Dialed Up Racing group. And well, I believe it's dialed up. Maybe it's not dialed in. I can't remember which group he's in. Nonetheless, huge shout out there to him and all of his teammates and everyone else that he races for, his friends, family, and everyone that tuned in to watch Mr. Pelican, man. Hell of a show, hell of a run there for him. Obviously not in the Discord anymore, and there he is. He has left the Discord altogether, so tough break there for Pelican, but nonetheless, huge run, great run for him, and we'll get ready to see these guys duke it out again next week, man. Next week, our penultimate race, our second to last race of the season, next Tuesday night, and we'll get one race closer, one step closer to knowing who could be potentially our champion here in Season 7 of the HCK Beagles Truck Series. Again, huge shout out to Dirt Track Junkies coming on board as our sponsor here this evening as they sponsor this amazing race here today. We can't thank them enough for being a part of the series, as it is the Texas Takeover 200, sponsored by Dirt Track Junkies here at Texas Motor Speedway. And it's Jacob Grube who's able to cash in, pick up that checkered flag, and put himself up into victory lane, man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, give a huge shout out there to all of our amazing drivers. Give a huge shout out there to our race winner, Jacob Grube, as these drivers put on a hell of a show, and we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and enjoying the racing action all evening long. All the likes, the comments, the shares, we appreciate each and every single one of you for coming in, tuning in, and showing the love here throughout the evening. And it's not too late. If you haven't already, make sure you guys do that for us. Hit that like button right now on the stream. Hit that share button if you're feeling courteous, and definitely 100%, it's absolutely free to do. Helps us out a ton and definitely helps you out a ton. Hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family today. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification. That way you never miss it when we go live here on Peacemaker Gaming. We'll catch you guys back in here again tomorrow night for some dirt track racing. Tomorrow evening we'll be back to the dirt track, which is going to be a ton of fun. Going to be a lot of great racing there with the always amazing Dirt Warrior Racing League. So we look forward to seeing all of you guys hopefully back up in the grandstands cheering on the drivers of our dirt track racing series on Wednesday nights. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen.
Friends for pets! Friends for pets!
Trucks flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining light so bright. Rev it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights, the engines scream. This is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might. Push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight. NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight. Peacemakers gaming life so bright. Rev it up, feel the pace. Speed hound in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase. Victory is our only place. Thrill the place. Thrill the place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high octane haste. Feel the thrill, feel the chase. Victory is our only place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high octane haste. In this high octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights the engines scream. This is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam. Racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might. Push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight. Racing on with all our might.